Waiting your arrival, Sophia. I still have my solstice crown on from last night. I need to bring in as much light and love as I possibly can. Hello, Sophia. Sophia. Damn. Sophia's having problems.
Oh, there you are. I want to welcome Sophia from Italy. Hi, Sophia.
Thank you.
Sophia and I will be diving a little more into human design and the gene keys. And this is the basic layout of what we're trying to do that will help support your highest good, your life journey, what you came to do, who are the people that support you, who are the people you have conflicts with, and what gifts are within those shadows.
Personal experience, we're really wanting to share with others what we've learned from using these incredible tools.
So we're going to do a little personal deep dive so you kind of understand where you can go on your journey with those you love. And I'm Angelica, and I am wearing my crystal crown from the solstice because I can. And you know that saying where they say, what is it? Something about when I'm old, I'll wear red or purple or something. And it's like, to heck with it, I'll wear crystals. To heck with red, purple. Anyway, so I'm putting this on because this was a last minute decision to go live this morning. And Sophia is in Italy and I didn't have time to do my hair. So I hope you have fun because we do. All right, Sophia, I want to introduce you and please give an overview of what we were thinking, because we posted 4 videos on the different aura types. And actually the reflector is going out soon, but the 4 aura types, so people kind of get an idea what their aura type is in human design. We've also supplied links down below that you can get your free charts from both Gene Keys and human design. So therefore, it gives you a beginning. When you know your aura type, it's really a profound beginning. And then there goes to other stages. So we'll go in and discuss your authority also, which is very powerful. And the more you know about your individual, unique, I'm calling it a life manual, that we did come with a manual, a roadmap of who we are and what we came to do and how we can interact with everybody. And when we, again, as I said, when we hit up against these shadows, if we get a trigger, we know it's for us to work on. Yes, it may be part of their issue too. There's friction, but once we heal ours, then all of a sudden those people either fall away or we can embrace them with love and light and they don't bother us. So it's a beautiful space to live in, that peace, that joy, and not one of blame. We're going into a new time now. We're going into this higher vibrational life, and a lot of things are falling apart, just as we knew they would decades ago. We kept wanting this new world, but nobody likes the rock and roll that happens before the old falls apart and the new is born. So Sophia and I want to give you tools. That's what we want. We want you to know yourself, what you came to do, and all of those you love and don't love, and how everything supports you. Sophia, I'd love for you to do an introduction about your journey into human design and the gene keys, because Sophia introduced me to both these modalities 7-8 years ago, and it's been a wonderful journey. So welcome.
Thank you. Well, I know for you and I both, the journey into understanding what the not self is all about has been very profound for both of us. And when we look at our charts, we have a lot of white in our charts, and the white indicates the path to know thyself comes from trying on everyone else's way of being first to come home to what feels right for us. And so that idea that our culture has given us so many messages to not self. We're raised to keep other people happy. We're raised to fit in. We're raised to behave a certain way. We have cultural norms. We have the way our family does things. We have the way our teacher wants us to behave, our boss at work, all these feedback loops we have that can be causing us, for me, I felt I spent most of my life in the good girl syndrome, trying to do everything right so that I could be liked and appreciated, and still feeling like I was invisible a lot of my life and not really feeling that feedback loop of being truly seen and truly appreciated for the skills and talents I had to bring. So that sense of feeling cut off from life in a way, because there's this incredible genius inside us that wants to be expressed, wants to be seen and appreciated, and to not be able to get that feedback in life is pretty overwhelming. And I know for me, when I first started studying human design, I thought, well, that's wonderful. And then I heard about gene keys shortly after that. I remember reading some of my gene keys in my own chart, and I was moved to tears. It was as if, wow, somebody sees me, feels my pain, explains it to me, and they don't even know who I am. How can this happen? How can this be so spot on and so true? And as I've worked with people over the years, this recognition of our coping mechanisms, our shadow patterns that we had to embrace to survive. I mean, we're very clever souls that we understand we either fit in or we don't survive. And this is from the reptile brain is still trying to evolve and get us into the frontal lobe where we can think about things before we just scream and run off and hide because we're afraid we're going to be devoured alive or whatever. So the idea that we are trying to come home to something that is real inside ourselves with all this not-self conditioning that we had. And when I read the gene keys and could see, oh yeah, that's exactly my coping mechanism. That's exactly what I do in those situations. And then coming to that point of being able to accept it. I mean, our ego is upset that it has to admit that we're not perfect. But then when we accept that, we can see how there's a gift and a higher consciousness that are the reward of seeing, well, the coping mechanism said, you're needing this energy, you didn't get it in your life, so let's just keep you safe. And then later, when you embrace the shadow, then the gift of the city can come in and inform us in our lives and the way we live. And human design is incredible because it tells us that this process of working with our inner self and trying to respond from what's right for us and eliminate all the static on our radio, everyone else said, you should do this, you should do that. But there's a way that we are restructuring, reprogramming our own DNA so that we can remove the negative programming. So after 7 or 8 years, there can be a huge transition in our lives that we really have the courage to leap into the abyss and know that we will be held by arms of synchronicity and life will take us where we need to go. So for me, that coming to grips with the not self and that sense of loneliness, and here is, as you say, a manual, a map, a blueprint that would help us know if you're feeling this kind of suffering, oh, it has to do with these particular qualities that want to come out and be shared in life, and they got buried and now they can come out. So to me, my experience with not self really helped me understand and become very compassionate for all the times anyone gets shoved into the non-self corner and we lash out at people, we do what we can do to respond in the best way we can, but we know we're coming from our lower energy. And we know when we come from our higher energy, there's more playfulness, there's more interactive energy. We're not set on a certain outcome, but we can go with the flow. So we experience this in our lives. And for me, I really get a lot of joy out of helping other people use this mechanism to look at their chart and figure out what might be causing the challenges in life. And because we have all this not self, we've given our authority to other people. So we're really wanting to take back our own authority to make correct decisions. It's like we mentioned earlier, you need to put your oxygen mask on first, and then you can help other people. You have to come from our own authority. Then we can respond appropriately in life and not take it personally when people don't understand or aren't on the same wavelength we are. But to have to trust our own intuitive authority, to be able to make decisions. Wow, what a world we would live in if we all could be able to do that. Say, well, that may work for you, but I can feel in my body that it's not right for me. And that's what Human Design and Gene Keys does. It tells us to go back to the body, feel this intuitive sense, like the indigenous peoples have never lost that. They've always been in touch. They lived in harmony with nature for eons of time. And we've only had a couple of 100 years, and we're mucking it up quite well with our modern age. So how do we go back to that inner wisdom, that inner knowing? And to me, that's really exciting. And I've seen so much trust of my own intuition that has really led me along around things that I didn't need to get into the middle of, because I'm responding, and it depends on what authority type we have, and we'll talk about that later. And for me, it's the sacral. I have a gut instinctual way of knowing, take a step back, take a step forward. It's instinctual, and I've learned to trust that. I used to too much a good girl. Oh, if I don't do that, they'll be upset. Or all these pressures, these mental pressures. And human design reminds us our mind is wonderful for doing what we're doing right now, discussing ideas and being an authority for the other person, helping ask them questions so they can pull out their inner wisdom. But to make decisions that are correct for me has to come from my inner knowing, my intuitive self. And I know for you, Angelica, you have a splenic authority, which is completely different from my sacral authority. And that's one of the hardest ones to trust, I believe, because so much of our conditioning is, don't you dare trust that thought that comes in your mind. You want to talk about your splenic authority for a minute? Because I think it's fascinating.
Well, it is fascinating, and it was difficult to learn, and it still sometimes is, but it's trusting that, like you say, the camera lens, once the shutter closes, that's it. It's gone. If it goes to the rational mind, we don't have a chance. We're now listening to society, like, oh, I should say this, or I should do that, or I should be agreeable because this person obviously wants to stay in this place, or do this, whatever it is, or go to that restaurant. But the splenic knows, you really pay attention, you're in the moment. And I think that's helping me stay in present moment awareness, to realize when I am in present moment and I feel that instinctual yes or no, or that one or this one, and I trust that, I don't need to go look at reviews for a restaurant or a hotel, or if I want to meet a person or not. I get an immediate yes or no. And that's when we have to trust it. But the other part is that those around us learn to trust it, because if they have a totally different type, like say an emotional response where they need time to let the wave, they go along and they meditate or they take time, that person, if they trust my splenic, could comfortably go along with my decision, knowing it is the best and the highest for all of those involved, because that's always what I'm saying. It's the best for all of us involved. The problem with the splenic I'm finding is I often open my mouth when I shouldn't. And I think for anybody that's a splenic projector that kind of sees the future, knows what's really playing out, and doesn't wait for an invitation. So if you go back and you listen to our 4 videos on the types, we've got the projector, the manifester, the manifesting generators, the generators, and the reflectors. If you listen and understand your type, it's very helpful, because I never realized I was supposed to wait for an invitation. And that's very difficult, I feel, with a splenic response, because you already have the answer. So again, many of us, though, as Sophia, you mentioned in one of our other, I think it was the projector one, that many people do have a projector channel connected in their chart to something. So in that center, you also need to wait for an invitation. But I'm kind of going off on a tangent here into something else. But yes, splenic response is to trust that. When my whole life I was taught, Like my dad said, well, do you want to go here, here, here? And I go there. And he'd go, well, you need to think about it. Because his wasn't splenic response. He goes, well, you need to think about it for a while. And it's like, oh, I need to think about it. Well, then my mind is in an absolute jumble because I wasn't designed to think about it. That's why it's so important for each one of us to know what our response is and really know those we love or do business with, because we can tell right away if they gave an inappropriate response based on their type. So that's my 2 cents.
Right, and I think that's all on the topic of the not self, because how many ways do we go outside and interact with people in a way that just creates tension, creates disharmony? It's not in alignment with what's trying to unfold because we're not showing up in our full capacity to interact electromagnetically with the other person, with the situation, with that instantaneous moment of the splenic response. That's really hard for people to get a handle on that because we're taught to sit down and make a pro and cons list and think about it and and that absolutely kills the spirit. It's like a lizard that sticks its tongue out and tastes the air and knows if it's dangerous and they should go ahead or not. And so it's that same instinctual response. And unfortunately, our Western education system doesn't prepare us to know any of this, to understand our inner intuitive knowing. We train the mind to understand things in a very linear kind of way. And this is an instinctual automatic mechanism that's meant to bring more ease and grace into our lives. So the idea that we've been conditioned, we have this huge not self thing we've got to dismantle and figure out, and then human design gene keys gives us a whole lot of information. It can become overwhelming. So Angelica and I have been talking about this, and our journey has been evolving over the years, and we have used other tools and instruments, self-help things that we've come across in our lives, the Byron Katie work, and a lot of different things that have been very helpful. There's the spiritual palm readings that bring us back to that map of where am I in fulfilling who I came here to be? Am I getting the joy out of life? Am I getting the satisfaction from actually showing up and doing what I'm here to do? So each of us has this inner genius, this inner core of beauty that wants to be expressed. And so our aim is to try to figure out little ways to break out pieces of this information, because it's overwhelming. It's hugely overwhelming. It takes long time to figure things out. But we found from our experience that there's a sequential way one goes about. First, you have to understand your aura. Electromagnetically, you're attracting, repelling things, and then how do we respond? What is our response nature? For our authority tells us how to respond. And then we can go into what are our channels and what's our real estate look like? Do you have lots of gates in the emotional area? So your emotions are going to be big in your life. But that's where the richness of your life is going to be, and the wisdom that you're going to discover from understanding this up and down emotional wave. There's a lot of creativity and a lot of spirituality in the emotions also. So the point is we want to understand the shadow, and we also want to acknowledge that beyond the shadow is this beautiful gift that is just waiting patiently for us to say, come on over here, we're ready to use the gift now. So we're excited, you and I are excited about how are we going to move forward with this and keep sharing. We want to offer some more things, and then after the new year, we want to see about putting together some kind of programs that we can maybe do with groups of people, because it's helpful to see how auras interact also. So we're just getting started with the creative ideas at this point, and because it's meant so much in our lives to move out. I don't think I would be living in Italy right now. I don't think I would have upended my life so much and go to another continent and have my kids think I've lost my mind being so far away from home. It just feels right to me for what I'm supposed to be doing right now. So I think it's wonderful when we trust the process. And for me, that's what I'm finding more and more. I'm just relaxing. My aura as a generator is I don't need to do the heavy lifting. I just wait and things come to me, and then I can respond to them. Isn't it wonderful? It just simplifies things so much. And that's one of the points Richard Rudd brings up a lot in the Gene Key study is we really want to simplify. We want to prioritize. We want to get to the pearl of wisdom that's in there that really feeds our soul when we allow ourselves to take the time to sit and be with the wounded coping mechanisms we created in life to be safe. Isn't it wonderful? We were clever and we did that, and now we're ready to do something else. And it's wonderful that we gather in groups of people who are doing this work together, because we really create a synergy. And that's one of the important words in Gene Keys. Synergistically, we're trying to meld our vibration and keep going higher and higher, and inviting in more and more of our deeper nature to be able to through us. And it's just a wonderful experience when we can see this happening for each other. And as Angelica was saying, when we know each other's aura type, we can draw it out of each other. A projector knows that asking a generator yes and no questions lets their Buddha belly decide, it's right for me, it's not right for me. And then I can watch Angelica. That didn't seem like a splenic response. You didn't answer immediately, so that must be a no if you're not jumping on it right now. So that testing each other out when we understand what we're doing and supporting the highest in each other. That's my goal for being involved with this, is to keep working on bringing out the best in myself. And from what I've learned in my process, I really want to help other people along the way too. It's been very rewarding for me, and I would want the same rewards for those who work with us in the future.
Mm-hmm. And I think what's really important for what I've even found with us or other close friends that I have that have been willing to do this work, we have a society that it's all competition. Nothing is based on someone's actual talents and why they came here. So there's so much to undo. And that's what's really sad, the undoing of aspects of ourselves that we're not being true to ourselves because we're following a whole totally different agenda. And so this is how human design helps us. And because of that, this competition to succeed and be worthy or not worthy, what it does is it really crushes our ego sometimes. And so there's so many times, even with Sophia and myself, that the ego comes up. Like she'll call me on something. And if my ego's going like, oh, well, who does she think she is? Like, seriously? Like she's projecting. And I only know I can stop in a moment and go, if she was just projecting, I would have no response. I could hold her in love and allow that, because literally it would bounce off of me. I could stand in love, open my heart, and let the other person examine what that was really about. But we go into bruised ego, wounded self, put the shield up, and this energy comes out of us that we're trying to defend ourselves or we're trying to prove the other person wrong. So therefore, we don't learn what we came to learn. In a response from someone else that we do get, or not a response, but an attack, say you view it as an attack and it just triggers something within you. That is a divine opportunity to go rush and go look at my chart and see where am I being compromised? Where do they have a full line and I have a half line, or mine is red and theirs are black? And we'll get into that also. The DNA, the red, the unconscious, what we came in with, and then also what we really actually do know about ourselves. So it's an exciting journey when we learn to grow up and let go of the little child self that is all about defending. It's about
Wounded
ego. It's about I'm trying to be better than, or I need to be seen, whatever it is. We get to just be ourselves because we watch the interaction with the world as, oh, I can send them love. They just attacked me, but it doesn't matter. Last night I was out on the town walking around with my crystal crown because I felt like it. Because ever since I had it, I only wore it in safe groups of people, like other goddess friends that we're doing some ritual with. And I thought, do I care what other people think? I mean, I'm not saying in a bad way, like what their projections are. And it was really kind of interesting because I thought they would say what we're told as children: oh, you think you're so big. Oh, you think you're so wonderful. Oh, who do you think you are? These horrible tags that were trained as a child. And instead, because I was just having fun and I didn't care what people thought, I got a lot of smiles and waves. I mean, I even had a little girl that unfortunately her parents had her in a mask, but she pulled it down, smiled, and waved to me. So, we have to learn to have fun in life. And when we're not coming from defense or ego and just enjoying life and how we can support the whole and this journey we're all on, which are just, in my view, aspects of the hologram. We're all aspects of the self. So I get to repair every broken part of DNA or cell memory or whatever just by each person showing up in my life. So it's not about rejection. Yes, many times there's boundaries, but it's an incredible journey. And I just feel so blessed that Sophia, not only approximately 8 years ago, did a hand reading for me, which was really amazing how it lined up with Gene Keys and human design. I was just shocked how all these modalities work together, and they're very accurate. But that she remembered my chart. She would say, oh, remember you have this channel or you have that. So maybe that's why you're, and it's like, I didn't remember that. So I was always encouraged to go, okay, let me listen to the audio. Let me go grab the book. Let me go deeper into that. What does that mean? What is the not self? What is the empowered self? Or what am I really supposed to be doing? And I'm not, because I'm trying to please someone else. So it's an incredible journey. And I just hope that you all join us at every opportunity to be part of it. As Sophia mentioned, we would like to put on some classes. You can tell us what you would like, what you're looking for, and maybe we can do that. Also, my vision is holding this new higher vibrational energy that we will be able to be next fall in Italy and put on an incredible in-person workshop. So that's my visualization. I hope you join us. Sophia, anything you want to add?
Well, I just want to say this seems to be what we're doing is we're giving an invitation to work with the wounded ego and trade it in for the humble heart. Because when the ego has been humbled back to tenderness and compassion, we just naturally flow in playful energy with each other. We don't have anything to defend anymore, as Angelica was explaining. So it's a beautiful journey, and we're going to be dreaming up fun ways to invite people to get involved with us, and hope to see you all over here in Italy one of these days. Yay.
Yay. Thank you. Thanks for joining me, Sophia. I know it's late there, and look forward to our next part of our journey.
Thank you, my dear.
Bye, everyone.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Don't forget to like and share.